Hello everyone, this is Anzar Kamdar. I'm the Chief Decision Scientist at ThroughPut, and today I will be walking you through a quick overview of the ThroughPut Lite self-service diagnostic tool. So please have your login credentials ready, and the first thing that you essentially have to do is just log in. Once you log in, you will land on the batch upload page. Here you're able to upload any sort of Excel or CSV file. You could select the different KPIs. Don't worry about it right now. Just choose cycle time. I have a sample data set ready. Once you've uploaded your data set, all you have to do is find a good timestamp field. In this case, we will choose start date because it has both a date and a timestamp. Select the categories that you want to analyze. So for this data set, I would look at process ID and the tool IDs. And finally, the metric that you want to analyze. For this case, cycle time makes sense. And I know that my cycle time is in seconds. Once you do that, you can click Show Field Types. You can play around with the schema and how the fields have been mapped. Ideally and usually, the platform should do this automatically, but if you do need to make any changes, please feel free to do so. If you are overwhelmed by this, don't worry. There are sample datasets and templates provided for all the different KPIs. If you would like to look at them, just go into the SQL upload page. And here you will see different types of datasets with different KPIs. I would suggest you don't edit these because they're already provided. But you'll see what the data template should look like. For example, for defect, for inventory data. And finally, since we were looking at cycle time, we can just pick this as our sample data set, which is called manufacturing value streams, where date is the timestamp. We're analyzing the process and the weekday. The metric is, of course, the cycle time in minutes. Some of these other tabs, such as the API upload and process, may or may not be enabled for your instance. But let's get to the analysis now. So the first thing that you will see is just the high-level tabs, such as insights, visualizations, and statistics. If you want to analyze your data set, you could look at visualization, for example, where you will get very simple bar charts and pie charts and timestamp charts, where you could look at things from process or weekday perspective. You can get into statistics, where you have the basic statistics, correlations available. Just click this. So for example, if I'm looking at the correlation between different process and cycle time, I will see that outgoing quality control has very high cycle times. Now, none of this actually gives you a lot of insights in terms of what sort of actions to do. So we would suggest you get started with the Insights tab. What you will see here is all your different processes laid out by their cycle times, and we have bucketed very nicely in red, yellow, green, where you need to focus. In red is where you have the most variability in terms of incoming shipping and document prep for this example. In yellow is processes that need long-term attention, for example, for loading. And the green would be the stable cycle time processes. So outgoing quality control, which does have a very high cycle time, is relatively stable compared to the rest of the processes. Now, from here, you can go into root cause analysis. We chose incoming shipping and document prep. Once you get into this, let's look at incoming shipping. Here, if you are familiar with statistical process control, you will see where most of your variability and variations are happening. So from the perspective of incoming shipping, you will be able to see what's falling outside of the control limits. And you can actually click in here. And if you are able to put in reasons that may not be captured in the data, that actually helps quite a lot more. So we can already look at this process from a different user that says that there was a power failure due to moisture. And once you save this, this gets used as well. You're also able to put in your idea of what the impact of this would be. This would help with the financial calculations. Finally, what you can also do is look at the action plan. And for the action plan, we're looking at a quarterly action plan of reducing variability for the highly unstable processes, which would be incoming shipping and document prep and loading long-term. Now for the yearly action plan, the idea here is not necessarily to focus on just reducing variability, but focusing on reducing the average cycle times. This may require a longer term process because you have to reorient the process, change the process, get new equipment, new resources. However, this does give you an idea of where to focus. Finally, you can actually go into the financial analysis, which is again a self-service analytics tool and a small calculator to see how you can actually improve your bottom line tied to these sort of operational improvements. So if we come in here, we could look at your current production. Let's say it's at 25 million. Your new target, you hope it will be 40 million. So what you could do is instead of working 120 hours a week, you could try to do 144 hours. You get to 30 million. 168 hours, you get to 35 million. So even with a lot of overtime, more resources, you're not going to make 140 million, your new target. What you could look at is perhaps doing a 10% cycle time reduction. You get to 28 million. 25%, you're at 33 million. Now let's add 24 hours in terms of overtime. You're hitting that 40 million. Now, this is just an example. We can actually go back to some of the other data sets, and you'll see that based on the defect, based on the different KPIs that we pick, such as the defect rate, some of the analysis will change because we're not looking at cycle time anymore. We could look at analysis by shift and shift hour and see which shifts are performing the best and which are performing the worst. The financial analysis tab also changes because now you're looking at cost per defect. Yet by reducing and controlling the process variability, you're able to actually look at the early impacts of your improvements. Similarly, if we actually go back to the inventory page, you will actually see a different screen. And let me just go to the financial analysis. So for the financial analysis on the inventory page, we're essentially looking at the rate of change in your ending inventory across your location IDs and your part IDs. And we're looking at where you can have the most savings based on your cycle service levels, based on your lead times, and based on your review periods. There's also the ability to actually go change individual values for different parts and see how much improvement you could have from the predicted savings that we have by following a proper inventory reorder point, or from just meeting a more reasonable cycle service level compared to the one that you had. Please note that most of the data that you will upload in here is only persisted for the session in your browser and it's deleted after. So there's no data persistence. This is a one-off diagnostic analysis. If you would like some sort of data export in the form of a report that you can use, please contact us. This is, again, the light version of the platform. Thank you so much.